Come see us on tour in Hartford, Connecticut, Syracuse, Atlantic City, Levittown, New York, Co-Host, New York, Providence, Rhode Island, Los Angeles, Bakersfield, San Jose, Toledo, Ohio, and Toronto, Ontario. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. You have a chapter in your book called 10 More Eye Openers. Could you go through some of those eye openers for us?
Well, without the book in front of me, I haven't looked at that chapter in the last week or two. You can name some, or I can just tell you some other things that, along the way of my road to enlightenment that come to mind.
Yeah, sure. Go right ahead.
Well, another thing that comes to mind is the fact that, we think that the scientific journals are so pure, at least I did. And I know that my doctors are constantly referring to the medical journals as something, the place to get information and the latest information. The journals are terribly conflicted and in many cases not to be believed. And I'm talking about the Journal of the American Medical Association, Lancet, all the famous journals that you know of. This is not according to Sharyl Attkisson. This is according to the journal editors themselves. And you don't see a lot about this, but Marcia Angel, Dr. Angel of Harvard, the former editor at the New England Journal of Medicine, she spoke against what was happening at her own journal and said she could not stop the pharmaceutical influence, which led to the publication of dishonest and misleading studies that imply medicines may be safe and effective when they're not. She was joined by Dr. Richard Horton of the British journal Lancet, the editor there, who said much of the science today is not to be believed. The way he put it was science had taken a turn toward the dark side. People don't understand that these scientific journals have, in essence, according to critics, been bought out. So that when you see something published, that's touted in the press, there's usually a money interest that's promoting a study that may not actually be reflective of what's really happening with that medicine or that issue.
So I stumbled upon this also, and during COVID, I caught the editor of the British Medical Journal lying. And I found out that they get a lot of their money from the pharmaceutical industry, which is shocking to me. And so when you'll see a study and they'll say, oh, well, this early treatment for COVID or for anything doesn't work because we did a study and it's published in a peer-reviewed medical journal. What you're telling me is that those studies are rigged, correct?
I would say, and there's been instances of proof, but more often than we know, according to the journal editors themselves, yes, the studies are calculated by the drug company who's allowed to do this. I don't even get this dynamic. I don't understand why the drug companies and vaccine makers are relied upon to do their own studies and honestly provide the data on billions of dollars worth of drugs to the government as if they're honest. I did a story on my TV show a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, with a whistleblower from Merck talking about, as a virologist, they were literally crossing out and changing bad data about the MMR vaccine. And even when the FDA caught him, because he blew the whistle, caught the Merck doing this, the FDA continued to rely on Merck's own data and representations of the drug, of the MMR vaccine in order to make other decisions. And I'm thinking, how do you rely on the vested interest, and especially when they've been caught making, they've had to pay billions of dollars in fines to settle cases for fraud and abuse and misleading. So you're relying on these same companies to tell you the truth about the medicines they want to sell. It just seems like such a crazy dynamic.
Well, it just seems like criminality to me. It seems like the opposite of, when they passed the law to allow pharmaceutical companies to give money to the regulatory agencies, actually fund the FDA, the CDC, in fact, to the point where the 70% of the FDA's, the drug safety part of the FDA is funded 70% by the pharmaceutical industry. And that just seems, again, criminal to me and crazy. And the reason they gave for that was they said that, they're going to be making so much money off these drugs, we should make them pay for the research. But that's not really the reason, right?
Well, let me say there may have been what I heard, There may have been some good reason. There was a time when it was thought or it was argued that some drugs were taking too long to come to market because it is a very onerous process that's required. And the thought was if the industry would kick into the costs of having the FDA review all their study information and make things happen faster, everybody could benefit. The problem is, as soon as that relationship started, and I would argue FDA has been somewhat conflicted already, the FDA began to see, as you kind of point out, the pharmaceutical industry as their customers and clients instead of us. And you can even look at their internal documents where they refer to the pharmaceutical industry when it comes to matters of controversies as the stakeholders and as the customers and as the clients. And in fact, if you and I as a journalist, you as a public citizen, were to try to get some information on an important public health issue that our government has collected information about on our behalf, supposedly using our taxpayer dollars, they will more often than not say that's proprietary. And they share that information with the pharmaceutical industry, but we can't have access to it as the people who are impacted. It's really a perverted dynamic.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did I read in your book that pharmaceutical drugs are the leading cause of death? Am I misremembering that?
It depends on the analysis you look at, but it is consistently, no matter who does the analysis, a top cause of death. And we're talking about prescription drugs when used as prescribed, not even talking about being abused or there being mistakes. And that is because, so many people are taking prescription drugs and there are so many side effects. And that's only the ones we know to attribute to them. We know there are many side effects and long-term effects of medicine that are probably not captured. So again, every once in a while, you will see a story done on that fact because it's consistent year in and year out. But doesn't that seem like a really important fact and statistic that deserves a whole lot more coverage?
Yeah, of course. Yes. Come see us on tour in Hartford, Connecticut, Syracuse, Atlantic City, Levittown, New York, Cohost, New York, Providence, Rhode Island, Los Angeles, Bakersfield, San Jose, Toledo, Ohio, and Toronto, Ontario. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.